Good morning, everyone. It's 5:25 a.m. where I am, and obviously I woke up very early this morning, and I have some pretty significant impressions, some thoughts on my mind that I would like to share. Brothers and sisters, what I'm about to share is paramount regarding why we have to be extremely careful about religious indoctrination. And let me elucidate what I'm saying with such. We'll start with a brief analogy and then we'll deal with the matter head on. Let's say I'm with my 3-year-old son. My 3-year-old son is playing right next to me. And let's say I see an 8-year-old boy who I know is angry. He's smacking his fist into the palm of his hand. He's signaling at my 3-year-old son. It's obvious that he has some intent on harming my 3-year-old son. So the 8-year-old charges over toward my 3-year-old son. Now I'm witnessing this. Charges over, running full speed at him, and he commences to pummeling, brutally attacking my 3-year-old son. So for about 60 seconds, he pummels and brutalizes my son. And when he's finished, he sprints off. Now my son has to be hospitalized with serious injuries from this brutal attack, life-threatening injuries even. Now, what are you going to say about that? What is anyone going to say about that? You're going to say, Osiris, how could you have allowed that to happen? You knew what that 8-year-old boy had on his mind. You knew he was coming over to attack your son. And even if you didn't know, once he attacked your son, why didn't you do anything about it? Why would you let that 8-year-old boy charge over to your 3-year-old son and brutally attack him, brutalize him, hospitalize him? That's what you would say. That's what anyone would say. Now, let's transition this to religion. And once again, this is why it is critically important to be cognizant of what religious indoctrination will do. Once again, I'm going to repeat for emphasis. You and everyone else would say, Brother Osiris, how could you allow that? How could you allow your 3-year-old son to be brutalized like that? You could have done something about it. Now, if we transition this to the religious side, the divine side, the 8-year-old boy would be the devil, more or less. My 3-year-old son would simply be my 3-year-old son, and I would be God. Now, if you transition it here, and this is why, if you're not careful how deeply you dive into religion, it will cause you to become almost psychopathic mentally. Now, if you flip the script and make me God, make the 8-year-old boy the devil, and maintain my son as himself, in many instances, people say, well, God allowed that 3-year-old boy to be brutalized. I don't know why, but hey, that's God. We don't question God. He must have his reasons for allowing that 3-year-old boy to be brutalized by that 8-year-old boy. The only reason an individual would express such, despite what they tell you, is if the individual is totally crystallized, totally hypnotized and petrified with fear. Capital F-E-A-R. Fear will rob you of all of your common sense. Fear will rob you of all of your common sense and cause you to create excuses, make concessions for various matters because you're too afraid to question the source of it. People are afraid to question what they accept as God. And this is so extremely dangerous. Once again, I must repeat for emphasis, if you saw me, witness me allowing such a thing to happen, you would admonish me for not doing something about it. But if you witnessed something happen like that and also feel that God can do anything, you'll make excuses for, concessions for, create scapegoats for God. That is psychopathic, brothers and sisters. I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone. You're teetering on losing your mind when you do such a thing. And you only do it because you are afraid. You're too fearful to say, hey, God, why would you allow something like that to happen? You could have prevented that 8-year-old boy from charging over and brutalizing that 3-year-old boy. Why didn't you do something about it? What we don't realize, because we're petrified with fear of the God we've been indoctrinated by, is that we make humankind, more moral and ethical than God. We make humankind higher on the ethical and moral scale than God when we do so. It doesn't matter if you disagree with me. Okay? I would not be given the excuse, well, Brother Osiris, we don't know your ways. We don't know what's on your mind. We don't know your purpose, your cause. We don't know your reasoning. So, since you obviously allowed that 8-year-old boy to brutally attack your 3-year-old son, well, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt that you must have some reason for it that we don't understand. But we're not going to question you about it. You wouldn't do that to me. You wouldn't give me that benefit of the doubt, which means I'm more moral in your eyes than God is. Because if God allows it, well, he must have his reasons. I'm not going to question it. I don't know why God allowed that 8-year-old boy to charge over and brutalize that 3-year-old boy, but he must have a good reason for it because he's God. He can do anything he wants. We don't know his ways. That is psychopathic. Be very, very careful accepting such. And once again, the only reason you accept such is because of your petrification, of being petrified with fear. This is so very disconcerting. So very disconcerting, but it's something that must be given the greatest consideration. Thank you for your time. Love and harmony, Brother Osiris.